Hello and welcome back to Writerly Witterings with a nice, bright, shiny, sparkling new year, 2023. Who'd have thunk it? There were certain times in 2022 when a lot of people, myself included, wondered whether we'd ever get to 2023. Dear Mr. Putin, never mind. Anyway, first of all, thanks ever so much to all the people floating past the screen now who supported Writerly Witterings last year with Patreon. It makes a big difference having a little bit of extra money coming in because author incomes are continually collapsing, and that means it's a bit difficult to buy stuff to review on this channel. Luckily, some firms like those very nice people at Conway Stewart are very helpful and send me pens to review. I'm looking forward to getting another one from them before too long. Anyway, thanks a lot to all those people on Patreon. For those of you who are not on Patreon yet, well, there's a link down the bottom, but don't forget, if you hit the subscribe button and hit the bell button so you're notified when there's a new video and then like it, it makes a big difference to my income, so that sort of thing's gratefully received. Anyway, I'm going to apologise now. I am here on the 5th of January. I shouldn't be here. I should be going to a friend's funeral. Sadly, however, earlier this week, not only did I hear about her death and therefore the funeral coming up, I also knew that I had to finish a book before the end of this month, which was going to be challenging. I'm over halfway through it, but it's going to take a lot of rewrites and so on. And then, 2 days ago, I got notification that my operation, which I thought would be happening a bit later in the year, has actually been pulled forward because of one of the other doctor's customers, or patients as they're known in the trade, apparently can't make the operation that he's booked for Friday next week. So I've now been bumped up the list as an urgent patient, and I'm going to be going in for an operation next week on this arm so that hopefully I can get my fingers to function properly again, because as you can see, certain of them don't want to work. As a writer who types all the time, that's a problem. So that will mean that I'm going to have a damn great hole cut in my arm. They're going to mess about with my nerves, fiddle with them, pull them out, have a look, and that doesn't look very nice, and put them back in and stitch me up. And then I'm going to be stuck with an arm up here, probably, for the next 2 weeks, which is not going to be a great deal of assistance while typing. Yes, I know there are things like dictation systems. It'd take me 2 weeks to learn how to use them. I might just as well wait until I can use my fingers again. Anyway, that means I might well be late or miss out on a YouTube video or two. I don't know. However, just for those who are interested, I'm also looking at creating a new podcast. I've been talking about this for almost a year now, but because of not being able to type, I thought this might be a perfect time to try it out. So I'm going to be trying to record some podcasts, mainly about diabetes. I've got diabetes. I didn't know I had it because I had absolutely no symptoms whatsoever, but a safe level of blood glucose on the HbA1c test is apparently 40. If it's 48, you can control your diabetes type 2 with just what you eat. My diabetes was set at 114, which meant that slightly more radical changes in life were needed, so I'm now on pills. But I've managed to keep the blood sugars right down. I've got various things. Abbott Laboratories have sent me one of these, which is a sort of continual glucose monitoring device, which I can check with my phone. Hideously expensive to buy. They're something like 70 quid for 2 weeks, but I thought that's going to be worthwhile. I'm not going to use that, though, until I've had the operation, because I think that 2 weeks lying around after an operation with my arm hurting and everything is going to be long enough to... Anyway, so I'm thinking about doing a podcast, so watch this space. I'll announce it on here first and then see how I can get things moving. And now, let us go back to my little brown book, which I haven't looked at for quite some time, which has all my inks in it. Because today I'm going to be looking at 2 sparkly inks, both from Cult Pens and Diamine, I think. One is Arabian Nights, which is at present loaded in my Conway Stewart Drake. The other is Diamine's Platinum Jubilee, which is loaded in my delightful Pineda. So let's have a look at these two inks, shall we? They're lovely. So here we are with my nice little book of inks. This has just about every ink known to, if not man, certainly Jex. Now, what am I looking at? First of all, Diamine Shimmering Fountain Pen Ink, Arabian Nights. Second of all, Inkvent Platinum Jubilee ink. Little bit of history. I started looking at Arabian Nights just before Christmas because I wanted a sparkly ink that I could use on Christmas cards. But I didn't want to use Brandy Dazzle again because I've been using that for the last few years. So I thought Arabian Nights, a dark blue but with silvery sparkles, sounded really interesting. At the same time, I was quite interested in the Platinum Jubilee ink, but when I looked at it on Cult Pen's website, it seemed a bit insipid to me. It looked rather too pale and really rather uninteresting. So I didn't buy it. But then my son was desperate to think of something different to buy me for Christmas, and I said, well, if you're really sure, you could always get me this. Now, by a strange lack of brain capacity on his part, he had forgotten he'd already bought me a fairly expensive selection of whiskies. So I got two presents. Hey ho, never mind. So what does this Arabian Nights look like? Let's open up the bottle. It's a 50ml bottle, unlike the standard Diamine 80 millilitres. 50 mils compared to 80, I don't care. You can see it's got silvery, just making sure this is focused, got silvery sparkles in the bottom there, and it works superbly well. I've tried it in several pens, and every pen has no problem with it. When we look at the Inkvent, this is one of those strange new bottles. Some people love them. I have to say, I think it's not particularly attractive. I don't really like this sort of silly stubby-legged design, but that's just me. And you can see here, again, more silvery bluish sparkles at the bottom. And so, two inks. Let's give them a standard Jex test. For this test, we'll go to the merchant's partner. My apologies, my writing is atrocious because of this blasted nerve in my arm not functioning. Now, as you can see, I think from that, hopefully the camera is picking it up, Arabian Nights goes down really quite dark as a dark blue, very much like Cult Pen's deep dark blue, but then as it dries it becomes a sort of very dark purple, I think, and frankly is quite beautiful. It's lovely. Now to move on to the next. And again, apologies for my writing, it is this blasted nerve. This ink was designed to celebrate Queen Elizabeth's Platinum Jubilee.
Keep still. Nice little set of quotes there from The Merchant's Partner. My second book I wrote and had published, actually, and I can't recommend it highly enough. This is the new cover with Canelo Press, and they do a bloody superb job. So, you can see here that Platinum Jubilee has got a really nice, I would say moderately dark blue colour that comes across with wonderful shading. The Arabian Nights has less shading because it's such a dark ink, or it's not so visible with that. I think Platinum Jubilee is a really wonderful ink. I love it. But both of them are excellent sparkly inks, which is rather nice. I've no idea if I can capture the sparkles here, but what I will do is take some photos and put them up in a second. Both of them seem to flow superbly well in any pen I've tried them in. Both of them seem to lay down a lot of sparkles. They're really very effective from that point of view. Both of them are still perfectly good for work use. They're both subtle inks, really pleasant in colour, and I don't think they would give anybody any problems at work. Which is my favourite? Depending on my mood, really. As it stands today, I think the Platinum Jubilee, but many other days it tends to be the Arabian Nights. It's really a case for you pick your favourite, you make your choice, and there you go.
And so there you have it, two really rather wonderful inks. Both of them give an excellent sparkly effect. Both of them work flawlessly in all the pens I've tried them in. I've not had any problems apart from when writing on certain types of paper. Tomo Rib is absolutely fantastic, but some of the glossier, roadier types of paper, I find occasionally the Platinum Jubilee doesn't go so happily, but that could just be the batch of paper. Certainly works perfectly fine on every other type of paper I've tried it on. Doesn't penetrate good quality paper, but if you use it on copier paper, it will go straight through. But you expect that with any pen that's a bit of a gusher, and my pens are gushers. So I hope that was interesting. This is the first of I'm not sure how many videos which I'm going to be doing this year comparing different inks, but hopefully that comparison was interesting. The next things coming up will be Dominant Industries different inks, because they've been absolutely wonderful and sent me 8 of them. So I'm going to be reviewing them before too long and letting you see all about them. And apart from that, there's not much else to say, really. I will try to get a video up next week, but I can't guarantee it. It's a wonderful thing going in for a major operation on an important nerve that controls all your fingers on Friday the 13th. But for me, Friday the 13th reminds me always of the Knights Templar, because they were arrested in the morning of Friday the 13th of October 1307, and for me it was the start of my writing career. So Friday the 13th is actually for me a good day so far. Of course, that could change radically in the near future. So wish me luck as I go under the knife. And apart from that, don't forget, subscribe, hit the bell, like it, share it, tell your friends about it, all those good things. And in the meantime, I'm going back to a very delightful cup of coffee with some beans that my daughter bought for me for Christmas, which are Brazilian and really very mild, very good flavour, very, very appealing. What more can a chap say? Thanks a lot for watching. I'll speak to you soon. Take care.